Have you heard someone say lately, I can't even watch the news anymore? Or maybe you have said those words or something similar yourself. I don't even want to know. I don't even look. I know I have done that. I've told friends and colleagues that I'm trying to find the balance between reading so much news that I just get lost and overwhelmed, and reading so little that I let myself be uninformed. If the chaos in the news cycle isn't affecting us, it can be tempting to look away. But not paying attention at all is something only those of us with some privilege can get away with. But if it's not affecting you, it is affecting someone you love dearly, whether you know it or not. So I try to find a balance, to pay enough attention that I know what's going on and how I can work for the greater good, but not obsessing over it nonstop to the point that I get so depressed that I feel powerless and do nothing. I'm not always sure where that line is, but I try to find it. Does watching the news ever make you cry or want to cry? Do you see things happening in the world and wish you had the power to stop them, to protect the people suffering? If so, you're in good company. Jesus' words in our passage today are very similar. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather your children together, as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. These words of Jesus grab me every time I read them. There's yearning there, a yearning to shelter people. He longs to protect them from violence like a mother hen, and yet they are not willing. In this particular passage, Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem when he gets a message from the Pharisees. Watch out, Jesus, don't go to Jerusalem. Herod is trying to kill you. And you might think, that's interesting. If I could have picked a bad guy or a group of bad guys in the gospel, I might have picked the Pharisees. But the good news is always surprising us, always reversing our expectations. In this particular story, the Pharisees are the good guys, trying to warn Jesus that danger is coming. It's just another reminder to beware of stereotypes. Be careful of lumping a whole group of people together based on the actions of a few. But Jesus' response to their warning is a feisty one. Go and tell that fox for me. Listen, I am casting out demons and performing cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my work. Yet today, tomorrow, and the next day I must be on my way, for it is impossible for a prophet to be killed outside of Jerusalem. Persecution always seems to follow the prophets. Jesus knows this. He knows he must continue on despite this warning, despite knowing that his death is coming, knowing that it's coming once he arrives in Jerusalem, the city he loves, the city where he will die. He even alludes to this when he says, on the third day I will finish my work. But what interests me most in this conversation is the animal imagery. Jesus calls Herod a fox. Foxes are sly and cunning, sneaky little predators. But what does Jesus compare himself to? A mother hen, a mother hen gathering her chicks under her wings to protect them and keep them warm. And he longs to do this for the people of Jerusalem, but they are not willing. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. This is another big reversal. First, the Pharisees are the good guys, and now Jesus, the hero of the Gospels, the Son of God. Jesus is seen as the hen, and Herod, the villain, as the fox. You may have heard the saying, fox in the hen house. Sometimes this is used as a fun, playful little idiom for a man surrounded by women. And other times it is less playful, and it means a predator having snuck into a place that should have been safe. Anyone who raises chickens knows very well what happens if a fox gets into the hen house. In the food chain, fox are higher up. But we as Christians follow the teachings of a man who identified himself as a mother hen among foxes. According to Luke's gospel, Herod was present at the trial when Jesus was sentenced to death. It would have looked like that the fox was victorious over the hen. But the gospel, the good news, is always about reversals, the unexpected, the big surprise. God became human, life will conquer death, and in the end, Jesus was not defeated by the foxes. We're spending the whole season of Lent preparing for and longing for Easter because we know how this story ends when we tell it each year. But we don't have that luxury in our day-to-day lives. We don't know how the stories on the news will end. We don't know the outcome. When we see reports of shootings or terrorist attacks, economic uncertainty, political unrest, lost civil rights, wars, genocides, earthquakes, hurricanes, and everything in between, we don't get to know how any of those stories will end. And our hearts can feel heavy, just like Jesus is. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. America, America. Planet Earth, planet Earth. How God has longed to bring us under those wings, and yet we are not willing. For many of us, turning on the news and hearing about all the injustice and violence in the world, the uncertainty fills us with grief and anger. Even if we don't advocate for violence, sometimes our language still sounds violent. We must battle against injustice. We're in a fight for America. We have to defeat the other side. We want to respond to foxes by being foxes in return. We want to win. But Jesus is all about the great reversal. What if, in a world full of foxes, Christians were known as mother hens? What if we were the hens in the fox house? Jesus did not respond to Herod's threat with another threat. Instead, he said, "Tell that fox I'm healing people and casting out demons, and I will keep on doing it." He didn't say, "Tell that fox to watch out because I'm a wolf and I'm coming for him." Jerusalem, the city that kills prophets and stones messengers. Jerusalem, how I have yearned to protect your people like a mother hen. And so I wonder, what might our world be like if Christians all over it were known as mother hens, as lovers of peace, as nurturers and protectors? When your heart feels heavy, when you consider the suffering in the world, remember, the Lord makes us strong. And strength doesn't always look like we think it should. Sometimes it is gentle and quiet. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense, like a hen in the fox house. But remember, the good news is always about the great reversal. So sisters and brothers, I urge you, in a world of foxes, be a mother hen. And when you are tired from bad news and your heart is heavy, when you can stand no longer, remember that God is still there, loving you, protecting you, like a mother hen. And under the wings of God, there are room for all people. So, may we be willing. Amen.